G'day, welcome to Pay It Forward everybody. Today, thank you for joining me for a Q&A. You have all posted your questions to me and I've been going through them all. Hopefully I'm going to be able to answer most or almost all of them. Some have been asked before and we will just briefly go over those. But some good new questions have come in and that's really exciting. Of course, we've got lots of new members. So I will have to wear my glasses. There will be more about that later. And we are going to start off, first of all, at the beginning. So first I have Faye Kimball. Hello, Faye. Now, this question, she says, is really directed to Mr. T. And her question is, how did you come at Lisa's hairstyle and how easy is it to manage on a daily basis? Well, probably first of all, he doesn't come at my hairstyle. I'm the dictator in the relationship in that way. He executes my plan every time beautifully, I must say. I'm very grateful to him, grateful to have him, and he has those skills. He really just carries out my requests. My hair is really thick, it's wavy, and it likes to be up. So it's not, you know, and you always want what you don't have. I've always wanted long, silky hair. I've never had that. And we just go with it. And he is talented. He was very talented at cutting. And he knows exactly how to work with hair work with hair to have it presented its best, all depending on your hair type. So we both think that going grey can be beautiful. He particularly loves the idea of women going grey because, as he's always said to me, we're supposed to go grey. It softens our, it's softer on our skin as we get older. So if you're thinking about transitioning to go grey, Mr. T and I are right behind you. If not, go right ahead and colour your hair. But for me, I'm also lucky to be going grey, as he says, in a nice way. So, and I work the style with that. Is it easy to manage on a daily basis? Well, his part in it is that he cuts it. I get a haircut once a week and my hair does change. It definitely, my style changes up. It's just been cut. We're going for a full faux hawk now. I just feel like a bit of a change. So watch this space. It's going to change up, but I'm really liking it. Sometimes I like it a little longer on top. Mr. T likes it a little longer on top. But yes, no, the whole process for me to style it takes about 10 minutes, honestly. It's all about great blow dry technique and great products and having hair that is cut to suit its style. So I hope that answers that. I appreciate, I get asked those questions a lot about my hair. So next we have Rebecca Watson. Question, I do get asked this a lot. I would like to retouch on it though. Where do you get your inspiration from for your designs? And I guess for me, I get my inspiration from absolutely everything that I love in life, with no reserve or apologies with that. I really do dig deep into me. And I try very hard not to look outwards for my inspiration. When I say looking outwards, looking at other work. So the way I keep my work truly original is to dive into me more. I am a naturally very, very curious person. I love shape and form, I love colour, which is fairly obvious, but I love it in every aspect of my life. So I'm very inspired. I live very much an artist's life in that I'm an artist in the way that I cook, in the way that I dress, the way that I create, the way that I love, the way that I communicate. There's no avoiding it with me. So I'm just, I love what I love, don't apologise for it, and that's what inspires me. And so I love storybook. I love clean brights. As much as I can admire other styles, what I'm drawn to every time are clean lines, storybook, a joyful, clean sort of a look. I don't like a lot of detail. We will talk a little more about that further along. But yes, my inspiration comes from what I love on a daily basis. Next, we have Heather Parker. Hello, Heather. I have just joined Masterclass and would like to know which pattern to start with. Now, this is a great question because we've had so many newcomers who are jumping in and starting at the most current. I've got a bee in my bonnet about current at the moment, and that is, first of all, to answer your question, start with the goat. That's the very first project I put in Masterclass. I did that for a reason. It's the basis of mostly everything that we do here in Masterclass. Not only is it a delightful project, and it's still one of my favourites, it will teach you the jointing, the ball jointing, the doll making style, my particular style. It will introduce you to sculpting, it will introduce you to jointing ears, sculpting noses, embellishing eyes, some shading. We lean into that gently first of all, but it gives you the best basics. So absolutely start with the goat. If you want to be introduced to mohair and fur projects, start with Oliver. And Oliver I run through everything with Oliver, from preparing your mohair, talking about mohair, how to handle it, how to cut it, how to sew with it. And also making a classic bear. Once you've made a classic bear the way it should be made, you're really, really well set up for everything we move into. So you would know if you're in Masterclass that as we move along, we incorporate mohair into our doll making, and it's all mixed media and it all grows and grows. So you can certainly start with the goat and or Oliver and then jump forward. You can do that certainly. What I don't recommend is, I am seeing that people are jumping into the most current project, and I hate that thought of current. You know, I've got to make the latest. It just, you know, doesn't validate all of those beautiful pieces that came before that are just as valid today as they were a year and a half ago. They're still wonderful and amazing and will teach you so much. So yes, start at the beginning and then jump forward. Give yourself a good grounding first is my advice, Heather. And welcome, Heather, to Masterclass. Great to have you with us. Next, I have Danielle. Hi, Danielle. When sewing ears, does it matter which side you work on? I think you mean when you're actually putting them together, the two pieces together. Most of you know that I teach mirror sewing. When you're sewing the arms and the legs, that you work on the outer, not the inner. With ears, now we're talking really fine details. Now we're really coming down to it. And of course, Danielle, you asked me that because you love all those details, and I love that you listen. So you can continue to use the mirror effect if you want to. I don't think it makes a huge difference with the ear itself, whether you sew the inner ear or the outer ear. They're particularly flat. But what is important is whatever you do with one, you know the rule, you do it with the other, and they will come out beautifully. So, good question though. Next we have Mary Dalrymple. Hi Mary, I chat with Mary. I have 2 boxes of UFO. I wasn't sure what that was, and I'm like, that's a product I haven't heard of. And you've got 2 boxes of it. And then I realised it was unfinished objects. In them, do you have any UFOs to finish? And my answer is no, never. Never. I am a very black and white person, unfortunately sometimes. I always finish what I start, unless, let me be clear, unless I don't like it. If I'm halfway through it and I don't like it, it doesn't get put into a box, it goes in the bin. So that's my way of not having unfinished projects going along. If I don't like it, I'm never going to like it. I'm not going to waste a precious moment on it. Everybody's different. Some people feel like they can come back to things. They work differently. That's absolutely fine. You asked me whether I do. I don't. If I don't like them, if I'm not happy, it's going in the bin. Also, Mary asks, will you ever make another Chihuahua? Well, you know what? Just at the moment, I've just been informed that my daughter, Dallas, Texas, she has just purchased a new baby Chihuahua, a beautiful show puppy, and she is a blue, so a beautiful blue cream with a broken coat. Absolutely gorgeous. She's kind of the size of a sneeze at the moment. I'm so excited to meet her. That should be happening in a couple of weeks. I will try and get her on here. I'll sneak her away and introduce her to you all. Her name is Polly Pocket. And so I'm pretty sure that, Mary, that's going to inspire me to make a little Chihuahua project. So you can probably look forward to that for sure. So next we have Laurie Hill. Hello, Laurie. Laurie is a very enthusiastic creator. I love talking to Laurie. Laurie says, when will we move into wall-mounted taxidermy in Masterclass? Okay, probably never. Oh, that's bad news, I know, for some. I've said this before, it's a controversial subject. Not well received in general, faux taxidermy. As an overall, and remember I have to think in Masterclass as an overall. I think I've said it time and time again, it's my favourite style, my absolute favourite style. I was certainly going in that direction before I got ill, and so that kind of stopped me in my tracks, and then I changed direction completely, obviously. Look, what can I say? Probably only ever as a Lisa Pay exclusive, so as not to offend. In the meantime, so talk to me. Let me know, everyone. Prove me wrong. Tell me that you want to see them. It's something that is tricky, but as I said, even if I do it as a Lisa Pay exclusive, it will probably be a very, what shall we say, a very friendly version of it. But yes, I do love it, and I understand, Laurie, that you do as well. That's the best I can tell you on that. So unless I come up with something that I think really everybody is going to love, but it's hard for me, if I release a project in Masterclass that like 5 people are going to enjoy, it just doesn't seem right to me. So consider my dilemma if you can. Next, also, this is another one, this is tricky. You're asking the hard questions, Laurie, and I do love it. Okay, will we ever learn to do an open mouth with tongue and teeth design? Again, I'm gonna disappoint you again, and the answer is no. It is because I don't like them. Okay, so first of all, it's because I don't like them. They are practically impossible to teach. My way of doing them is impossible to teach. I would even go so far as to say that. Unless somebody was in studio with me and that we had a one-on-one and you literally sat there and watched me do it. I did develop one of the first open sculpted mouths in the industry, and it is a very, very exclusive way that I do it. It's also a really personal way that I do it. So, and I believe that it is completely, it's a sculptor. You need to be a sculptor because it is completely sculpted within. It's not something that you make in steps. It's certainly not paint by numbers. You do this step, that step. It's not done that way. So it's very, very challenging. And it did take me years to perfect. In saying that, yeah, I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. When we start and are passionate about soft sculpture, when you first get into it, there are some of us who get into it and we're like, on this high of, wow, you know, you could do this and you could do that. We start to get into a state of we're only seeing technique and what we could do, and taste gets left behind, and focus gets left behind. In my opinion, this is only my opinion, and it doesn't have to be yours. In my opinion, when I started doing open mouths, I did them because I could. I did them because, yeah, you know, I've got the ability to do that. Very, very quickly, I started to see that it wasn't altogether a pleasing, friendly look. I worked and brought the whole concept into a much more understated look. So all of my open mouths, you can go back and see them, go onto my Pinterest page and you'll see open mouths that I've done. I brought them back to a very nice open mouth that's very restful, not a wide open, angry, taxidermy kind of looking open mouth. So mine were very understated. I even went to the point where when I did an open mouth in bears or other animals that wasn't a dog's mouth, I ended up giving them 2 tiny little baby toddler teeth at the front, and that softened it off. It softened off the whole look. But I still prefer a soft face. It's called soft sculpture for a reason, and that's my thing. They look better, they look restful, they look sweeter, your projects in general. I also want to stress that open mouths and so on in 2D art, as in painting that I also do, I'm also an illustrator, that's great in 2D art because it's not 3D and in your face. It's a flat picture and it's great. But even then, I want you to understand there's a reason why people hang in their home lovely sunsets, tranquil landscapes, soft, beautiful ocean pictures. When we look on art and put it in our home and surround ourselves with it, it needs to be restful to the eye and not tiring to the eye. You might have even had times in your life where you've bought a painting that you think is amazing and vivid and there's action going on and so on, and you just can't warm to it. And after a while it gets put away and gets replaced, and you might not even know why, but it's usually because it's not restful. And that's something that you learn through drawing and illustration as well. A picture needs to be restful. It needs to have a focal point and it's pleasing to the eye. And when you make animals with open mouths, after a while, it sounds silly, but even with your own dogs, if they're sitting at your feet and they're panting at you, it's like, it's annoying, it's stressful, it's not a relaxing thing. You look down and they're sitting there, mouth closed in that kind of position. It's lovely, it's beautiful, so that's why I present them in that way. Now, that's, like I said, that's just my opinion. Because I don't like it, I'm not going to teach it. I'm just not. And you know what? I'm allowed to do that. Because I've only got, how much time left? So I'm not going to waste any of it doing things that I actually don't like. So yes, generally, you know, I'm storybook, I'm not harsh. Next question. What is the correct way to cast off? This is Laurie still. What is the correct way to cast off? Answer is the most invisible. I understand. I don't always show you that. I am going to be making a video, which I will talk to you about a bit further along, and we will talk about that, about casting off in whether it's a blanket stitch, a ladder stitch closing, maybe when you don't have a seam to go into, there's nowhere to go, nowhere to hide. Yes, I will address that for sure, Laurie. So thank you for all of your questions. And also, Laurie says, thank you for designing the chicken and all your help. I love talking to you, Laurie, you know that. And you say that I'm a bright lamppost in your journey. Well, thank you very much for that. I'm very glad that that's how you view me and see me, and just make no mistake that that's all I am. in your big creative journeys. I'm just a stop along the way, where you can pick up hopefully some helpful information and nothing more, nothing less. So take from me what you can, move forward, and I hope in some way I've been able to help you. It's really important that your journey is your own, and you have growth in all other directions from me. But I really appreciate that, thank you. So next we have Christy Page. Question, what about posable limbs? And you know what, posable limbs, for the same reasons that I spoke about open mouths and so on, just because you can doesn't mean you should. I only create posable limbs for function. So if I'm making a project and I want the mama to hold her baby in her arms, then I'll make a posable arm. I don't do it so that your animal can do this one day, then this one day, and this one day, and that. Because, you know, the truth is, when people make these posable animals and sell them to a collector, the collector puts them on the shelf and never touches them. And that's the absolute truth. And I think that I would rather design a project to look absolutely fantastic in the position that I choose is the best, because I'm the creator after all, you're the creator after all. Create that project to look its best in that one position, rather than it looks a little bit, how's your father, in several. Because, you know, it's been bent this way, that way, and the limbs aren't quite right. They never quite go back to what they should be. Again, that's just my opinion. So posable when we need it for a function, otherwise I don't. Okay, so next we have Jane Megan. Hi Jane. Question, will we create a Paddington bear? Michael Bond's beautiful creation, Paddington bear. And the fact is, I do my research very well regarding copyright. We will be staying away from that one. Okay, so you just have to trust me on that. I will not be doing an interpretation of Paddington Bear. Unfortunately, that is just how it is, and we will respect the artist that created, Michael Bond, who created that beautiful character, and I grew up with him too, and I absolutely love everything about Paddington Bear. Next we have Patricia. When will we see a new Lisa Pay exclusive? And the answer to that is when I can, depending on a number of things. And I'm now going to jump into the next question from Wendy Mail. And Wendy's question is, where do you see yourself in 10 years' time? And that was the most challenging question I've been asked. And I was reluctant to answer it, but I'm going to give it a go because it's a good question and it was one that I was avoiding. So I want to be very transparent with you all. So I have fairly recently been diagnosed with unfortunately, with a brain condition, which is threatening my sight. So the condition is called overall dystonia, blepharospasm. I have dystonia. It is a muscle problem. My brain is not getting the messages to certain muscles in my body at all, so they're not able to function. It is inoperable. There are things you can do for it, but generally the prognosis is that I lose my sight, but I don't lose my sight because there's anything wrong with my eyes, which is really the most upsetting thing. It's because the muscles around my eyes aren't receiving those messages from my brain, so the muscles around my eyes are shutting my eyes. So it has a genetic component. My beautiful mother, when she passed, she was fully clinically blind, even though she had absolutely nothing wrong with her eyes. So I have inherited the condition. We've recently just found that out. I have been battling with it, and we have been throwing everything at it, because you would surely all understand that as a creator and an artist, don't take my sight. That is a very real possibility. It could be very quick, and I have good days and bad days. Today is a good day, which is why I'm filming this today, which is why when we have Lisa Pay exclusives, it's been a rough couple of months behind the scenes. It's not something that I do go into and talk about, but I feel like, you know, like I said, the need to be transparent. Last month just gone, the majority of my work days, I have to tape my eyes open to be able to function, to be able to work. And obviously for me too, being a deaf person, I hear with my eyes as well, because I lip read, and I hear with my eyes. So it's obviously a very daunting thing for me. Unfortunately, there's very little that can be done. We are doing everything we can. And it is unfortunate that the disease itself is in its most rapid growth stage at the moment, and it is quite horrendous how quickly it is happening. I also have seen my mother just go, and not much older than me, completely, totally blind with her eyes clamped shut. So it's an awful disease. If anyone else has dystonia anywhere else in their body, reach out to me, because I'd love to chat to you about it. I also have been asked a lot about the sickness that stopped me in my tracks a few years back. I have chronic, also a brain disease, Meniere's disease, and it is currently in remission. But that does and did stop me in my tracks. At the moment, like I said, it's in remission. I'm getting great care, so that's largely not affecting my life. And when it comes to the dystonia and my eyes, today is pretty good. Moving forward, if I'm having bad days and still need to be on camera or want to be on camera, I'm going to ask you all to forgive me if I have to wear glasses. It's probably for my own vanity, but it makes me very stressed for it to be happening, and my eyes are spasming and closing and so on. And one is often more affected than the other. But I also said to Mr. T and my daughters, I said, you know what, I mean, just leave me one, give me one that operates, I'll be all right. You know, and I can rock an eye patch, I'm pretty sure. So trying to be positive about it. So, but obviously that is limiting my output. And all I can say to you all is, I want to do everything, and I'll do whatever I can, and you'll either understand that or you won't. And I guess there's nothing I can do about that, but I generally want to, you know, put as much out there as I can. So I hope that answers that. If anybody does have Meniere's disease, please reach out to me too, because it's a very chronic disease, and it's quite awful, and it is nice to speak to people who share the same things. Okay, so enough of that for sure. Next we have Danielle Backer, and this is from her son and her little son. I think he's little, maybe he's not little, I'm assuming he's little. Can we have a pattern for a real mouse, because he doesn't like the patchwork mouse? Good on you. Okay, tell us what you really think. That's fine. I will do my best to fight my complete mouse phobia, which I have. I have the biggest mouse phobia. But I will make a real one. It's just I'll probably then just put it away where I can't see it. We will do that definitely for your lovely son, Danielle. Next we have Julie Topping. Question. Sometimes when using Jo Sonia's varnish, I get paint on my brush. even though my project is completely dry. There are a few reasons why this can happen, Julie. I would tell you that mostly it is generally about climate, temperature, your current temperature. It can wreak havoc with sealants and paints. So you do need to make sure, you've told me you're keeping it, you know, it's completely dry before you're going to apply it. Always use a hairdryer first. I always throw some hot air over it before I go to paint. That does help a lot. Load up your brush, have enough varnish on your brush so that you're not dragging across that nose or whatever it is that you're painting. That dragging can disturb those layers. Back the truck right up and make sure before you even start painting the nose that there's absolutely no moisture. Do it if you can on a dry day, or certainly use your blow dryer to dry that nose, that epoxy sculpt or whatever you're using, or polymer. Give it a blast with the dryer too, so that actual base clay is dry with no condensation and nothing. Because if you get condensation, any bit of moisture trapped underneath a layer of paint, it's kind of difficult. It's going to be a pain all the way through. In saying that, if it does happen and you get that colour come up, finish up, let it dry completely, and then your next coat will fix it. It will cover it and fix it. So you're not going to be left with a sticky nose forever. Definitely not. So I hope those few things help you out there. Next we have Meg Rose. Hi Meg. So Meg's question is it difficult to keep to your schedule of producing something for Masterclass and pay it forward each month? That depends on so many factors, many I've just outlined: family, health. Pay it forward has never been a scheduled thing for me. It never will be, because it can't be, because I have a very busy life. There's also way more work involved than I think most people realise. I don't want to harp on about this. The thing is, I am cameraman, film editor, pattern maker, digitalizer, creator and designer. So it's all done by me. Mr. T is there for troubleshooting. Mr. T has a full-time job aside from this, and he is a shift worker. He's gone before dark, and he's gone in the dark and he comes home in the dark. There's very little time. So it does take a lot. I would love to produce every month. I will always produce Masterclass, of course. It is a paid class. I would love to produce Pay It Forward project every month, and I certainly do try and do that. And while we're on the subject of that, please scroll back, everybody. Please don't just land on the first page of Pay It Forward and see those videos and think that's all there is. There's hundreds, and scroll back. They're all beautiful. There are some projects there in Pay It Forward that I think, oh, I probably shouldn't have shared that for free, because they have been so plagiarised. But there you go. There's plenty back there, everybody. Scroll back, go back and see, there's so many projects that I've done. And, some of those projects were done and created and designed at times in my life that are really, really treasured to me. So, and I put all of me that's going on at the moment goes into a project. And so there's some very dear pieces back there. Have a look at them, check them out, learn how to scroll back, and show me on our on Pay It Forward page. Show me some of those oldie projects, because I'm not about current. I really don't like that concept of current. I'm somebody who really values vintage. I value, workmanship from years ago. I'm not the latest is the best. That's not me at all. So I encourage you to do the same. Okay, next. Who have we got next? Meg Rose. Still Meg Rose. Do you have a stash of fabrics? Yes, I do. We've all got a stash of fabrics. I'm really good, though, at culling regularly. So I'm very good with that in fashion as well, and clothing. I'm quite ruthless. I am not a hoarder. I can't live in disarray. I'm a neat freak. So I don't have more than that's a lie. It's such a lie. Mr. T is going to so call me out on this. I was about to say I don't have more than I need. That's not true of clothes and shoes. But, you know, I'm not a hoarder. They're all housed beautifully, and, you know, like I said, I go through things all the time. So I've got a good stash. Doesn't mean I haven't got a good stash. I have. But I keep on top of it, certainly. So next we have Kathleen Froome. Hello, Kathleen. How are you? Lovely lady. Will we see a combined project with your daughter? Yes, daughters. Probably with Memphis. I have Memphis, Tennessee and Dallas, Texas, and 4 sons. You won't see sewing with my sons. But you probably will see Memphis and I. We live right close to each other now, and we do a lot of things together. At the moment, Memphis and I are totally into upcycling fashion, and we're into dyeing. We're playing with dye at the moment like you can't believe. We've got this news saying that everywhere we go in a thrift store now, we've got dye eye. And we can spy a white thing from a mile off that has potential. No, it's really fun, and I do encourage you to think about dyeing things for your projects too. And anyway, so my thought is Memphis and I are going to do a video. It will be a collaboration, and we will upcycle a couple of things. It will be a fashion style video, but we'll show you the dyeing process, and it's really, really simple. People think it's difficult. It's not at all. And you can transform things. And I've got lots of little techniques for upcycling that's really useful for kids' clothes and so on. We'll have a little bit of fun, and yes, you'll definitely get to meet my Memphis, Tennessee, who is a very, very talented girl. They both are. So soon, Kathleen, soon, I hope. Okay, next we have Barbara Fort. She just says she loves my outfit. That was lovely. Thank you. It was when I did the invitation. That was a dyed jumper. There you go. See, still on the subject. That bright yellow jumper. Memmy and I dyed that. We felt very clever. I look a bit like Big Bird in it, but I like it. I like yellow. Okay, thank you very much, Barbara. That was a lovely thing to say. Next, we have Tamsin. How are you going, Tamsin? I haven't heard from you for a while. Tamsin is one of our superstars. I've got lots of superstars. You're all superstars. So do you have any book titles that you would recommend about soft sculpture to read that will help, inspire, or that helped me? And no, sort of not directly like that. There's very little to be found. Inspirationally, yes, a book that I would love to share with you all it's called The Tao of Pooh. And it's quite amazing. It's the application of the concept of Tao with Winnie the Pooh and his story, and it's amazing. I love anything based in psychology and all that sort of thing, so I'm really into that sort of thing. I love, seeing how the mind works. And that book really, I thought that book was amazing. So it's called The Tao of Pooh. Aside from that, no. What I tend to be inspired by in that way is something to read to get myself, feeling good or in a good place. I tend to follow people or research people who are courageous in their creativity. So, and that can be in any genre. That can be, I love Katharine Hepburn. I love her attitude. I love the fact that she was herself. There are so many amazing, amazing women in our world who are unapologetically themselves and are passionate and love what they love, and that's it for me. So that's always been my inspiration. I guess I haven't had I haven't had issues where, because I've taught myself my art, I don't, and I'm very careful not to lean into other artists' techniques and ways, because then I don't feel original. So sorry, Tams, and I can't really recommend anything, but you know, follow creative people. I say creative women. Women are great things. But creative men too, certainly. And there are plenty of them around too. And next question from Tamsin. When tying in eyes, does the position you tie them in alter how they sit? Yes, absolutely. And you definitely can change it. For teaching purposes, I generally go for that we put them in and we pull them in and we anchor them at the base of the head, right in the center. It gives you good pull in. The direction is pretty good. When you start fine tuning, when you start really getting into soft sculpture and you're wanting to really change things up, I do that and teach you that way, always at the base of the neck, because it's kind of foolproof. You know, you're not going to get it wrong. But if you really want eyes, rather than pulling in on an angle, you want them to sit on a different angle, you can certainly take them straight through the back of the head, because you'll have the expertise to tie off and hide that knot in a way that it won't be seen, whereas some people really struggle with that initially. So remember, I'm always thinking for the group, but certainly some of you are moving forward at different rates. If you're more advanced than others, you can certainly start doing that. When you are making a realistic animal, there's a lot of animals that have where their eyes are absolutely profile and they're in the side of their head, birds, particularly fish, and actually bunnies and hares. I do mine storybook style, so I tend to still pull them in from the front to the back so that the eye angle tilts out a little. So when we look at the project from the front, the eyes are still looking at us. Realistically, rabbit's eyes look outwards. And as I said, many other things do. That's when you can actually take one eye in at the side, pull off, tie off through one side of the head, do the other eye separately and tie it off, so you'll get that absolute pull in. Yes, Tamsin, you can change it up, absolutely. And I know you have the skills to do that, definitely, my friend. Okay, so we're back. Outfit change. I know. I had an interruption and I had to schedule this and come back to it. So, any excuse for a new outfit though. So, but I'm just going to continue on from where we left off. So, final question is from Tracy Petty. Tracy asks, what do you think of stuffing with wood wool or wood shavings when making mohair bears? Tracy, I think it's great for tradition. I think in general, even amongst collectors, it's not something that they ask for or, to be fair, really appreciate. I think that sometimes we as creators have researched our art more than perhaps a collector has. So, but certainly if you want to do that for the sake of tradition, it gives quite a crunchy, lumpy sort of finish, and it does give a lovely, beautiful look to a vintage bear. Personally, myself, I'm all about results, so I tend to use what works, what gives me the best results. I'm also all about respecting what was. The beautiful designs of yesteryear, those bears who were stuffed with wood wool were for so many different reasons, and wood shavings. And I like to respect that and leave that in that era. And I like to use what we use now. That being said, I don't like complete reproduction bears where people are creating them to absolutely mimic those old time bears. I think don't misunderstand me, I love vintage style in bears, and I will show you in a pattern very soon how to put together a mohair bear and really age it and really give it that vintage style, but we'll be using modern day materials. I mean generally mostly because the bear will last longer. So, but if you want to go for absolute tradition, certainly if you are selling to a collector and they've requested that, by all means go ahead and use it. It's a little tricky, it's a little messy, but it does give that lovely sort of crunchy, lumpy kind of feel to it. So just to your own discretion, Tracy, do what you think is best. So that's our last question. So let's talk about what we're going to be doing moving forward. First of all, I do want to say to everybody, requests please. It does help me to know what it is you're actually looking for, particularly in Pay It Forward. Not so much Masterclass, I have a very clear set plan. But with Pay It Forward, you need to talk to me and tell me what you would like to see. I can't grant every request, of course, and sometimes it's not suitable for teaching, but definitely bombard me with that in comments, the types of videos you'd like to see. Now, I will be doing, and I'm going to do my absolute best to get that done for you this month. That is a full basic, back to basics video for Pay It Forward. I feel like watching on with our Pay It Forward page, I'm seeing that we've had such a big influx. People are coming in and maybe not learning the basics to soft sculpture. Even if you're only making Pay It Forward projects, there is a clear baseline of materials and requirements that we use and clear base techniques that we use that ensure you get fantastic results. And if you don't have a good foundation, you're not going to have the finish that perhaps you're seeing in my work, and you'll certainly see in others' work who are following those guidelines. And I think I'm going to go back over everything. I've always been asked, can we please see you sewing on your machine? And I realise now that probably there's a few things that I do when I'm sewing that may be very helpful to you all. We'll go through interfacing, preparing your fabrics, the whole lot, drawing up, cutting out, everything, right back to the beginning. I will do my best to get that done this month. I would encourage you all to scroll back. Scroll back through Pay It Forward. There's some beautiful projects way back there. And as I said, I'm not about being current. I have enormous respect for artists who are long gone. Their work is as valid today as it was and when they were here. And also, you need to think of Pay It Forward as my life's work. I'm adding to it whenever I can. I have so much more to share with you all. And I will add to it always. Think of it as a great big library, and it will always be there, and it will outlive me. So when I'm gone, years after, Pay It Forward will still be there, and it will still be hopefully a beautiful resource for creators to come and discover, and to them it will all be new. I'll be gone and it'll be all new and wonderful, and it will breed another generation of lovely creators. So that will be my legacy. So I'm certainly not stopping. I just need to work through some issues that are out of my control. So I do hope that you understand that, and understand that my passion is always there. Masterclass is always my first port of call, my first responsibility, because of paying customers, of course. I'm sure that you understand that. So the other thing that we'll be doing is we're talking about doing some things with my daughters. With my daughter in particular, we do a lot of upcycling and so on. At the moment, I'm into hats. I'm into upcycling hats and creating something. This was just a very ordinary bucket hat, and I have just gone to town on it. It's not finished yet. It needs to be dyed, all sorts of things. I'll wear it in a fashion shoot, and I'll show you. So many fun things that we can do, my daughter and I together, and we will definitely do that with you. Textile jewellery, tell me what you think. I love the idea of textile jewellery, and I can certainly show you that in Pay It Forward. But it's important to keep up that communication and talk to me and tell me what you would love to see. So thank you all so much. So where do I see myself in 10 years' time? I'd be really happy to be able to see. So I guess that's the That's the bottom line, everybody. So for now, I'm going to spend every moment I can doing what I love, and I hope you all do too, and I hope I can just help you a little bit with all of that as well. So everybody, look, have a fantastic creative week. Thank you for joining me here today, and thank you for understanding. Make sure that you keep paying all of those good things forward, and until next time, it is hooroo from me.